Hi, I'm Ashley Adamson, and welcome to the Trans Club. This is a TV show about, it's not a TV show, it's a YouTube show about trans stuff and personal growth and development. I have a Discord community for those who are transitioning or questioning. You can hit that link down below. And I am the speaker slash founder, but maybe we'll have other speakers in the future. Check that out down below. You can also buy my book on transitioning. Today I'm going to talk to you about being clocked, because I got clocked today by a guy. But not just any guy, I got clocked by a trans guy. So, you know, he kind of knows what to look for, I suppose. But I just wanted to talk about the emotional aspect of this, because maybe you get clocked, or maybe you have been clocked. And how did that feel when you got clocked? And what kind of situation were you in? And what kind of context was it? And how did you feel when you did get clocked? And how do you work through that inner aspect of yourself so that you can come out of it a winner out of the situation, rather than feeling like you lost in some kind of way or something came down on you? That's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. This is personal growth and development. I'm Ashley Adamson, and let's go. Oh, please like and subscribe if you're into this kind of stuff. So, so I just walked into a cafe and ordered a breakfast burrito, and they told me they have cheese in all the breakfast burritos, and so I couldn't get it. I was upset about that. And so I ordered a breakfast sandwich, which was okay, but there was what I thought was a person there. Yeah, no, I won't. Yeah, so there was a person there that had interest in talking to me, and I could tell they kind of wanted my number of contact, and I was really just not wanting to talk to them. So they kind of looked at me and then they left. I walked out with my sandwich once I got it, and then they were outside sitting on a bench and said, "Hey, like, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'd love to talk to you. I don't see many people like a part of my community around here, and you seem like you're a part of it." And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, maybe you think I'm a queer woman and you're into me, because he kind of looked a little bit like a butch lesbian, but I guess that wasn't the case. So yeah, he texted me later and he said he's a trans guy and he realized that I was a trans woman. And then I kind of like got a little, I don't know, like, how would you feel when someone who is trans clocks you and you're like, oh, I thought maybe I was passing. And yes, this is kind of a privileged position to be in, but I've also not been in this position. So like, you may be saying, well, I'm totally clockable. So like, what's the deal, right? Well, if you're gonna get clocked, you're gonna get clocked. And whether you're passing and getting clocked or non-passing and getting clocked, it's still the same thing, you're getting clocked. But how do you react to how you get clocked, and how do you work with that aspect of yourself? I think if you're in the beginning stages of your transition and really moving genders, it's going to happen more often, and you're also going to be affected by it more emotionally, because you're dealing with trying to validate your identity, right? Like, you're trying to assert, hey, I am this gender, and why aren't people seeing me this way? This is how I want to be seen, right? Like, are you saying that to yourself? Are you feeling that for yourself? And how are you boosting yourself up? How are you supporting yourself when this happens? The self-talk, the inner narrative, is probably the most important part, because depending on how you construct the reason why you got clocked and where you place the blame and how you position the blame, like, is blame even the right word? Like, all of these little pieces is going to affect the end result, which is how you feel. So let's talk about how we get you to a place of feeling fine and okay with this whole thing of getting clocked, because I was just a little grumbly today, honestly, after it. And it's been such a long time, because I've had facial feminization and I've spent a lot of time transitioning and being a woman, that to get clocked is kind of like, oh my God, like, after all of this work and $60,000, $70,000, I think, actually, is it? No, like 30 plus 10 plus, yeah, so let's say $60,000, $70,000. After all of this investment in time and work on my voice and my expression and my look, I still didn't pass. So was it worth it at all? It's kind of like I'm more invested in it. And so when I get clocked, it could be worse, but it wasn't that bad. But I remember when I was non-binary and also like beginning my transition, getting clocked was kind of like a disappointment, but also an expectation. So the advantage of being very clockable or even non-passing is that you have an expectation. You have like a grounding force of, well, you know, I'm expecting to be in a space where people don't really understand, even if I'm wearing a dress. If they're going to read me still as a guy, even if I don't want to, because they're not getting the signals, right? So you can position yourself in a way of expecting it and saying, well, that was expected. They just didn't see me, and that's okay because I don't value their opinion and how they see me, right? That's kind of how I positioned it. So you kind of put yourself in a position where, it's a shrug. You're going to be fine. It doesn't really matter what they think, right? But if you're parents or close friends or partners or people that are close to you clock you in a way where you don't want to be seen because they know you're transitioning, right? They know that you're making attempts to be in the gender that you want to be in. And if they misgender you, then how does that feel, right? That feels a little different. It lands a little differently. It has a little bit different meaning. So like when you think about how much someone cares about you and how much context they have on who you are, that clocking kind of has a different feel to it. Now, if you're in a space where sometimes you pass and sometimes you don't pass, this is probably the most vulnerable space. I feel like it's a bell curve, right? Like the most emotional pain I feel like is kind of in the middle with getting clocked because you don't know if you're gonna get clocked and it's kind of a 50-50 chance. So when you don't get clocked, as in they see you as female or they see you as male or whatever you want to be, you're like, yes, this is awesome. This is like one for the scoreboard for me. I'm making progress. I'm getting somewhere. This feels great, right? I feel validated. And that's going to give you momentum in your transition. And you're probably in some kind of early to mid-stage transition of doing this. So it's also like your identity is at this peaking point where it's not a peaking point, it's at this growth stage point where you are like really, really dipping into how far you want to be in this gender and you're feeling great about it, right? But then you get clocked and suddenly you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? I failed at what I was trying to do. Will I ever succeed? I remember saying that. Do you ever say that? Will I ever succeed in passing? Will I ever get to where I want to go? Is this just all going to fail and I should just give up now, right? And that's the kind of negative spiral that you want to avoid. You want to kind of like, I don't know, like put yourself in a place where you can see a possibility of a future where you do pass if that's what you're trying to do. But also, I think there's a possibility of just saying, you know, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It's dependent on the lighting. It's dependent on how I dress and how I appear and my mannerisms and just the context of the experience. And it doesn't really matter if I get clocked or not because my identity, or your identity, you could say, your identity is not based on how other people define and see you. And some people will just always see you the way that you don't want to be seen. And you can't really change that. But their reality doesn't anchor in your reality. Your reality anchors in your reality. And you determine what that reality is. So it's kind of like a gravitational force of reality. Do you let yourself be the sun and to pull reality towards you and say, this is my reality? Or do you let other people become the sun and you're more like the earth or something like that, where you revolve around that reality? Now, I know there's like this aspect of, well, you exist in a reality with other people and all of these other people kind of collectively make up and determine reality, right? So if 95% of the people don't see the way that you want to appear and only 5% do, then whose reality are you living in, right? Well, the thing is yes, you do exist in a reality that may be 95% not yours, but that doesn't define you, right? That doesn't define your inner sense of self. That doesn't define who you actually are. And the more that you are able to show yourself from your heart and your being and just glow from your reality, the more you influence that reality. That's probably the craziest part. Like, I'm just making these videos in my bedroom and talking to a camera, right? But I'm influencing reality to a point where I'm changing people's perception, like yourself, and I'm changing the fabric of reality, because me goes to thousands of people, and thousands of people are able to work on themselves, change themselves, and then create a separate reality or a changed reality based on their reality. And now we're all connected and we're co-creating a reality, right? So this is the trans agenda. This is the real trans agenda right here. The trans agenda is to fuck with your reality. It's to change reality. It's to reshape it in your own form. And I think if we kind of like take the trans out of it and we talk about what the real reality is, it's not a trans reality that I'm unfolding onto you, or that you would be unfolding onto others and co-creating. I gotta make a video on this. It would be more of a, hey, like, I want to see you for who you are, and I want you to be authentic in your own being. And it doesn't matter if you're trans or you're not trans. Be cis, be authentically you. That's all I'm trying to be for myself. And I just want you to be the same way that you want to be. And sometimes we may be in conflict, and I know the far left will probably disagree with this, but sometimes we may be in conflict of our views, and we don't need to fight over it. We don't always need to prosecute people. Oh my God, I'm going way off topic. Pull it back, Ashley. Oh my God, okay. Getting clocked, what are we talking about? Your reality. Anchor in your reality. Like, figure out where your reality is and see if you can hold that. Because I have had experiences, and maybe you've had this too, where you can hold your reality so strongly that when someone sees you, even if they may have not seen you in the way that you expected them to, you create a reality within them that actually transforms them. I've had experiences where people were able to see me as a woman, even though I was non-passing, because of the interaction and the space that we co-created together. It really created an authenticity and opened up the situation. So I hope that's something for you to reflect on. Please support me on Patreon. I love the dollar bills. Buy my book, that also supports me. And join our Discord group. You can help other trans people. You can get help from other trans people. But you have to have a warrior mindset. If you come in weak, you're not allowed. We'll reject you. So I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.